Hi all. In today's video, Raghava, my colleague here. Hi Raghav.
Hey, hi Amba.
Today we both are going to actually talk about how customers can actually at scale protect their Kubernetes clusters and the workloads that are deployed on them. But before we get into that, just setting the context right is the rise of Kubernetes in the enterprise today and our customers is so high that our customers are bringing different kind of complex workloads now. Things like running big data workloads or Spark on Kubernetes, to database as a service, running Postgres, MySQL, and different kind of stateful applications on Kubernetes. With that said, the typical problems of the enterprise in terms of data loss and facing those eventualities in case disaster strikes is the top concern of the enterprise today, where I could tend to miss out or have a failure in the system where my enterprise workloads running on Kubernetes could actually vanish away. And that's the challenge and the risks that we are living in the cloud native world today. To that note, I will let Raghava talk about Dell's strategy and the portfolio that we have to help and assist our customers actually. Over to you, Raghava.
Thanks, Amba. Like Amba mentioned, all the mission critical data is on the rise to install and deploy on the Kubernetes. It's important to protect all those applications and restore them in a timely fashion is absolutely critical for business. So Dell's PowerProtect Data Manager is a modern and proven data protection software to protect all your existing data center workloads like VMware, physical systems, and network attached storages, and many more other applications. Along with that, we also protect Kubernetes platform, whether it is on-prem or multi-cloud. It could be managed Kubernetes as well. Let's see how and what we protect for the Kubernetes. PowerProtect Data Manager comes in two forms. One is the virtual machine can be deployed for on-premises workload, and the other one is in case of Amazon AWS Cloud, you can have AMI as a PPDM, just deploy it and then start backing up all your workloads in the cloud. So once we deploy it, and you can actually back up all the namespaces, etc. And you don't have to rely on manual snapshots like you do today to keep a track of PVCs and others. Okay. So, let's look into, yep.
So Raghav, in essence, what you're saying is that you can deploy PPDM to protect your Kubernetes anywhere. It's a ubiquitous platform of sorts, right?
Absolutely, on-prem, hybrid, and multi-cloud approach.
And you are giving me the sense of confidence that I can actually protect workloads, whether they are running on private or public cloud, inside of any Kubernetes cluster.
Absolutely. And you can even migrate clusters from one location to, these days everything is cloud, one data center to another data center to a cloud as well.
Okay, got it. Thanks. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Now let's look a little bit deeper into what we have in Kubernetes. Mainly two things, I would say. One, etcd holds every bit of a configuration of the cluster, which is basically immutable. And then you have namespaces for your production workloads or any other. And if you have to really zoom into namespace, there are so many other containers and pods and applications which you run, stateful apps and stateless apps. Which also includes all your persistent ones and secrets and CRDs, etc. So all those are attached and associated with namespace, which we will grab as part of the backup and then store it on an external storage, which is data domain storage, and then you can replicate it to other stores. Okay. When you restore, you will be able to restore everything as an application rather than just going by bits and pieces of the restore.
So basically, you're saying that the entire Kubernetes hierarchy is stored as a stateful, let's say, set of snapshots. And I can restore everything, including the metadata of the cluster and different things running in a namespace and all that, actually, right?
Absolutely. Everything associated with the namespace, including your persistent volume data and including databases. Just let me not forget, if you have MongoDB, we can even take a persistent backup of MongoDB, which you can flush it to PV and then back up the persistent volume.
Got it. And it helps kind of, again, instill confidence that if I have to, or if I were to lose out on anything due to any eventuality, I am in safe hands with PowerProtect.
Absolutely. All you need to do is just bring up the cluster. We have the data to restore and get you back to the business.
Got it.
Perfect. So we talked about it, what we can back up and how do we configure. It is so simple. All we have to do is just define the asset source, which is basically a Kubernetes cluster. And you have to provide the authentication, and we will be able to discover the cluster and all the assets. Here, assets means every namespace you have in Kubernetes cluster listed as an asset. And then we can back up all those namespaces associated with all the metadata. And then once we have the assets discovered and defined, you can put them into various schedules according to the business requirements and apply retention policies and replication, etc. to that. Once you got everything, the next step is of what, in case if you need to do a recovery of that, you can recover back to the original clusters where you backed it up from, or you can even restore to an alternative cluster in case if you, for a cluster migration or even the existing cluster is not working for an instance. And so you've got multiple options.
Yeah. So, and I do understand from you, Raghava, that while this whole, magic happens, let's say, right? The most important question is, when I shift, I'm running a certain Kubernetes distribution, right? And maybe a persistent layer from a particular vendor that results into a storage class, right? During all this kind of, crossovers in terms of backing and restoring, this is what I figured out. Actually, the best part is I can change storage classes. For example, on public cloud, I have EBS as the CSI provider. And on-prem, I could have vSphere as the CSI provider. And as I toggle between these two, if I have a good enough network communication, I can actually change while shifting from here to there, and that toggle can actually interchange the classes also, right? I can shift data from a
absolutely
vSphere CSI to a Dell CSI to a EBS CSI and whatnot, right?
So on a lighter note, you can call it as a storage migration, right? Because it's like we are storage agnostic when it comes to recovery, where you say all we need when we attach a alternative cluster, we can discover all the storage classes that you have associated with it. It's very easy as part of restoring to another cluster, select these storage classes which are defined and available, and we just create a PV and then restore the data to that.
Got it. So thanks, Raghav. I think that's a very interesting peep into, what we are about to explore. And, specifically, we will do a demo of sorts, taking, EKS Anywhere as a reference use case. Again, like Raghav mentioned, that PowerProtect Data Manager is not limited to a particular Kubernetes distribution. We have support for EKS, GKE, OpenShift, Rancher, and including EKS Anywhere. So in this particular blog and article, we will be exploring the use cases around EKS Anywhere, wherein we will do a conjunction of EKS Anywhere and PowerProtect Data Manager to protect what's running on top of EKS Anywhere as a workload. And in this case, and as per the previous article, we will extend the use of SockShop as the base application. And like we have discussed in the previous article, SockShop is a polyglot architecture. There's a lot going on within SockShop in terms of the application manifests actually and the data services that are in use. Here we will be using SockShop. The underlying persistent storage is from Dell PowerStore, like you see. And just to actually recap, what's going on in terms of SockShop, you can see that there are various microservices. Plus, there are various databases and data services that are actually running. And all these are persisted on PowerStore through the CSI drivers, right? Plus, on top of that, you have other things going on like ingress, Metal LB, software-defined load balancers, the CRDs for that, and whatnot, right? All this needs to be backed up. This is where the rubber meets the road, where you're talking about a complex microservices architecture, and this all's run within the namespace called SockShop, where you have 8 microservices, 6 data services persisted over, CSI of Dell PowerStore. Plus you have the TLS secrets, the ingress resources, and the other things, including the load balancer, the node drivers for CSI and whatnot. We will be actually looking at how do we create those eventual disasters in different forms and fashion, and then use PowerProtect Data Manager to recover from those eventualities. So that if I lose out a namespace, I lose out a cluster, how do I come back to that state where I last left it? Let's say, and the user was created and the user has many orders actually placed. How do we get back without losing that most important asset, which is the data, right? Using PowerProtect Data Manager in conjunction with all the Kubernetes methodologies and constructs actually that we have at play within EKS Anywhere. So again, thanks a lot, Raghav. We will steer along and explore these use cases. Thank you.
Absolutely. Very interesting use case.
Cheers.
Work on. Thank you.